Hey guys, hey. Okay, so this live is going to be a lot more different than the lives that you all have been seeing. I want to be extremely transparent with you all. I want for you guys to understand exactly how my life has truly changed since learning about credit. And I know you all see the title. I want to tell my story. I'm ready to share my experience, okay? Yeah, I'm very excited just to share with you guys. Like, I feel like I can't really tell you guys, hey, do this, hey, do that, if you don't really know the backstory, if you don't really understand how credit has affected my life, if you don't really understand who I am, especially when it pertains to credit. So I want to tell you guys exactly how my life has been impacted since learning about credit, taking a deep dive when it comes to credit. Credit has definitely ruined my life. And so we're about to go ahead and just get right into it. Okay, so I have a lot of things. Well, I have a few things that I want to go over. We're going to have to do two parts because it's going to be a few things I'm going to be sharing. And I want to make sure that I'm getting through everything. So it's going to be a part 2 to this. So you guys already know when part 2 comes up, it's a continuation of this particular live. All right. So the first way that credit has ruined my life is it made me question my upbringing. Understanding what credit is now, understanding how impactful it is now, understanding the benefits of credit now. If I was raised in a household where financial literacy was, if I was in a position to be more aware and knowledgeable about credit growing up, life wouldn't have looked the same. I would have never known, I wouldn't say I would have never known struggle, but life would have been a lot better. So it made me question my upbringing because it's like my children are able to experience all the benefits of their mama knowing about credit. They're able to experience the joys, the effects of credit. So I'm questioning my upbringing because it's like, why didn't I know about this sooner? Why wasn't it something that, So the second way that credit has ruined my life is it made me wish that I knew about this sooner because credit has gotten me out of some very, very hard time financially. Credit has allowed for me to be able to do things that I never even knew was possible. Credit has opened doors that I never even knew existed. Credit has positioned me to be an authority in an industry full of people. Credit has allowed for me to help all different types of people from all walks of life across the country. So if I would have known about credit sooner, the impact that I have today, it would have been exponentially better, greater. Credit really opened, brought, how when you learn about something and you really start to think about it and you're like, wow, I never even knew. It blinders go off. You just kind of, that's how it feels that I know about credit. That's how it feels now that I know about credit. Very, 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 it's a little frustrating if I'm being honest. Just because, like I said, as a mother, credit has gotten me out of some very, very tough spots. As a mother who's been doing it alone for as long as I have been doing it alone, it has gotten me out of some very, very rough spots. So if that resource, if that knowledge was abundant in my household. My motherhood journey, I started off extremely rough. I'm talking about homeless with a brand new child. No car, nowhere to go, no one to call. The one friend that I had looked out for over and over again, all I asked was if they could allow for me and my new baby to stay until I got my approval back from my apartment. This person says, well, you have a new baby. We don't really want to, they're in a relationship. Person was in a relationship with their significant other. I know both parties, so it's not like it was just like, regardless. The person told me that, I don't think that you guys can stay here. That's not really something that I can allow for you to do. So, door slammed in my face. I didn't have any family. A lot of people don't know this, but the only family that I ever grew up with are my siblings, my mother, my dad. I mean, that's the core. Siblings, mother, my dad, my grandmoms. But so as far as family is concerned, we didn't have nobody to call. I'm the oldest on my mom's side. My dad's side, I am the second to youngest, and I didn't know about my older siblings, so I didn't grow up with them. I just had my younger sister on my dad's side, and so for most of my life, I've always been the oldest until I wasn't, and that was for both sides. But anyways, so I didn't have anyone to to reach out to. I didn't have anyone, and I also said I think I told you guys I didn't have a car. Yes, I didn't have a car. I was working and still was homeless. So I was working it was a gas station where they also made food. So I was at the time where I was living in a hotel. I had my younger brother with me, and I was taking care of him as well. So while I was at work, he was watching his niece. Okay, and so I would have to walk in the rain and the snow because it was winter time and it was very, very cold. And I would have to get up early in the morning. It'd be dark, and I had to walk to and from. There were very few times I was able to get my supervisor because she knew that I was walking, and you know, whenever she had the free time to do it, she'll drive me back to the hotel. But if I knew about credit back then, when I was going through that very, very hard, talk about postpartum depression, mothers, come to the front, homeless, walking, having to sit in my situation, walking every single morning, walking back during the afternoon after my shift has ended. Talk about depressed. And still, I had to show up. So by the time I stepped foot in that hotel room, all of this, my entire composure had to be all the way together because I had a baby that was depending on me to pull through despite. I had a baby that was depending on mommy to figure this thing out. Failure, not an option. If I would have knew about credit back then, I would have had a way out. I would have had a buffer. I'm okay with that not being a part of my story because I understand that everything happens for a reason. And despite how bad it felt going through that now, like, well, not now, but back then, I understand that now it was supposed to happen. It allowed for me to be able to look at life differently. It gave me strength that I didn't have before I went through that situation. It gave me a new outlook. It provided me with the boost I needed to show up for my kid when they needed me the most. I could have easily given up. I could have easily put my kid off on someone else. And I'm saying that because I've experienced people putting their children off on me. I'm not gonna go, that's a whole different story for a different day. But I know exactly, I could have been that one, but that's not who I am. My children didn't ask to be here. My children didn't say, you need to carry me in your belly, have me, and figure this thing out. They didn't say that. I said that. I made that agreement when I decided to proceed on with being a mother. So regardless of how bad I felt in that moment, I had to figure it out. Regardless of how bad it felt, and I'll tell you, I was at the lowest of the low. And I was literally questioning, how did I, someone who always looks out for people, someone who always is receiving phone calls from people who need help, who would drop everything to go look out for the next person, how did I end up here? It was extreme. When I tell you guys, dark, very dark for me. However, like I just said, I know everything happens for a reason. So that's a little bit about how I felt when it came to me wishing that I knew about credit sooner. The next way that credit ruined my life is it ruined the life that I used to know. When I remember like it was yesterday, I used to be that person who thought that I had to save my way to riches. Like I just told you guys, I had no idea about financial literacy. It was just nothing that I was informed about. And of course, the schools, they can care less about letting us know about that. All I knew was struggle, poverty, making sure that you stay away from the bad neighborhoods, staying away from the alleyways, watching out for the needles on the ground. That's all I knew. Financial literacy, nothing about that. Okay? So when I was extremely financially independent and stable for where I was after I got out of the hole I just told you guys I was in. So after I was able to get out of me being in a situation where I didn't have a home, where I didn't have a car, where I didn't have anyone to call, I was now this person who was dedicated to avoiding having to go back there again. Because truth be told, the reason why I got in the situation that I was in was not because I didn't have, like, I was like evicted or anything like that. That has not ever happened. It was because I didn't have the support after I had my child that I was informed that I would have. And because of that, I didn't, and the people around me or the family that was around me at the time, they didn't tell me anything about, oh, you know, you can go ahead and get assistance so that you can go ahead and put your child into daycare and they'll pay for this and that. I had to find all of this stuff out myself. I had to find all of this stuff out after I went through not having nowhere to live. But when I came back, when I got out of the situation, oh, it was up and stuck. Okay, so I made sure, like I said, I made sure that I was going to do what I needed to do to stay out of the situation. So what did I decide to do? I turned into a huge workaholic. Hold on one second. I turned into a huge workaholic. And me being a workaholic became very detrimental. Me being a workaholic it took me out of being present and available and put me in survival mode. And I have been in that survival mindset for so long that even when I have the time, even though I have the time to just go ahead and just take a deep breath and just relax and take a breath, like I don't have to worry about, excuse me. Even though I have that, it's a lot of unlearning that I have to do as someone who has been there, the lowest part, as someone who understands what it feels like not to have, who understands what it feels like to lose every single thing. So I was a person, like I said, I was a person who believes you had to save yourself to riches. So I literally had a safe. Every single paycheck, I would put money in that safe. And I will always have money in that safe. And I mean, I was racking up. I wasn't playing no games, okay? My baby was in daycare now. She was actually in the best daycare that was in the area. So she was in daycare now. And I was able to feel what it felt like to be back, like, independent again. And I guess, I mean, I've always been independent, so I can't even say again. What it felt like to be, like, comfortable. I'll say that, comfortable. Oh, man. It has been a journey for me as a mother. It has been very, very, there has been a lot of dark points in my life that a lot of people don't know about. Again, if I would have had access to the credit that I have learned to have access to today, I would have not went through any of those things. Credit ruined the life that I knew, because it showed me that, for one, you can't ever save yourself to riches. For two, these banks would throw their money at you. They are more than willing to give you access to thousands and thousands of dollars of their money. All you have to do is be in the position where they deem that you are responsible enough to handle whatever they throw at you. Back then, I had no clue. Back then, those things were not a part of my reality. So, the fourth way that credit has ruined my life, it exposed me to the fact that there is a life outside of poverty, outside of what I knew at the time. Learning about credit allowed for me to literally be welcomed into private lounges, to be welcomed into membership-only events and places and perks. It allowed for me to see how willing these companies are, how welcoming they are once you have reached a certain status. it showed me that if you just do this thing, which is learn how to repair your credit, you are going to have access to places, to people, to things that you never even knew were out here. Because like I said to you guys, all I knew was poverty. All I knew was dealing with the mice, the roaches, the needles on the ground, the shootouts every other night. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything outside of that. So for me to experience what it felt like, what it feels like to be on the other side of that, and now my children don't have to deal with that. My children, they don't even know. They don't have a clue what that feels like. They don't have a clue. And I couldn't be more proud about it. I couldn't be more happy about it. I couldn't be more, I just couldn't be more. This came because I learned more about credit. Because I took a chance. Despite everything in my past telling me that credit is terrible, stay far away from it. Despite being told that, despite that being in the back of my head, I said, you know what? Absolutely not. I gotta figure this thing out. I gotta experience for myself what credit truly is, because it's affecting my livelihood. You and I both know that when it comes to credit, if your credit ain't okay, you're not getting approved for a place. You're not getting approved for a new vehicle. You're not even getting insurance. You're not getting approved for that job that you applied for. You're not getting approved for a lot of things. And if you do get approved, your down payments are outrageous. Your interest rate is insane. And it's just, yeah. So, let me see if anybody's on here. Hey. Let me see. He's still on here. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Okay. So, the last thing that I want to talk about as it relates to credit and how it has ruined my life. It saved me $1,800 a year. Now, the reason why I have categorized every single last one of the things I mentioned on this live as ruining my life is because it ruined everything that I knew to be correct. It shifted my entire, what I knew to be life, what I knew to be normal, changed in an instant because of credit. Credit destroyed the life that I knew and provided me with an opportunity to create a whole new life that was centered around creating generational wealth, becoming financially literate, and becoming financially free. And allowing for my children to grow up in a space where all of that is normalized, where they don't get to see or experience what it feels like to have lack, what it feels like to struggle to live and have basic necessities. They don't have to deal with that. And it's because of credit. So back to the last thing that I said. It saved me $1,800 a year just on one bill. One bill. This is not even talking about the fact that when I learned more about credit, It allowed for me to get access to different things at a very low interest rate, which saved me much more than what I was used to paying. It saved me money that was unnecessary, if I'm being honest. This is only on one bill. And that bill, my first very experience when it came to credit, and after I learned how to repair my own credit, was being able to refinance my vehicle and get, my loan that I had on the vehicle to be able to get a bigger vehicle for me and my children. That was my very first experience with that. So I was in what they like to call an upside down loan. I was paying 26% on interest. I don't know if I'm trying to get sick or what. My bad. I was paying 26% on interest. My monthly payment was $400 a month. And it was ridiculous. When I learned more about credit, how to repair my credit, I was able to position myself to be able to finally, after multiple tries, finally get out of that loan that I was in, which seemed to be impossible. And I was able to get a new loan, refinance. Payments were only $250 a month. And my interest rate went from a 26 to a 5%. So I saved $150 a month. That money went elsewhere. It went to other things that I had to take care of. So that went from, $150 times 12, $1,800. It saved me that. That's only, like I said, that's not even scratching the surface, y'all, of what credit has done for my life. On the second part, we're going to be discussing how credit allowed for me to become a stay-at-home mom, a full-time stay-at-home mom. Ultimate dream. Credit has done that for me. And so on the next live, we're going to talk about that. You guys have any questions for me while I'm on here? You will be getting sick now. I'm not getting sick. Okay, I'm not. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining Credit Talks with Coach Don, where we do credit repair the right way. Catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.